Hey everyone, so for today's demo I'm actually going to be making a Jacob's ladder. Now I have promised that I was going to do one of these ever since sort of the first post got put on the creatives, that's crafty creatives group. They are really fun. You know, they're really fun to do, and they're something that's quite a wow. They're really different, you know, and funny enough, you don't see them around as much now. But yeah, they're well worth doing, and there's so many ways you can decorate these. I'll probably talk about that a little bit later. But for now, I'm just going to show you what I'm going to be using. So I'm going to be using the Twinchies, MDF Twinchies. Now these also come with they're Twinchies, inches, and dominoes. It's quite a tongue twister there, isn't it? So yeah, you get these little 2-inch square MDF pieces, and then you get some little inch. I have actually got some here to the side of me to show you. Some little inch ones, and then you get the dominoes, which again I have got here to show. So they're the dominoes and the inches. But for this demo I'm literally just going to be using the Twinchy ones. But yeah, these are sort of perfect for this project. I'm also going to be using Gilding flakes and the gilding glue from the Daily Art kit. The kit also comes with black and white gesso paste, which is a great they're great for sort of stenciling and yeah, loads of other projects. But yeah, for now I'm just going to be using this. Oh, it also comes with a varnish, which again I'm not going to be using during today's session. I did actually use this in my live last week, and I know Jo Channon also used these during her live earlier today. While she was doing her live, I was actually also playing around with gilding flakes, prepping these bases ready for this demo. But yeah, they're great fun. They do make an awful lot of mess. I honestly believe this is worse than glitter, this stuff, but it is so worth using. You know, the effects that you can get with it are great. And the gilding glue that comes with this. Now, I honestly think this is the best gilding glue I've used. I've used quite a few different glues in the past, and yeah, I really do believe this is the best one. So do try them out. I'm also going to use some of the dried botanicals set. So this is set 2, and Lynn's Wildflowers set 2. And I'm also I don't know if I will use these because I have already prepped some of the toppers, and I did use just one of the little butterflies off of this stamp here. So this is the Small Elements stamp set 1. This was actually also on the show last week, I think it was. But yeah, along with the other excuse me, Small Elements stamp sets. But yeah, sorry, I'm just going to have a sip of drink. Right, sorry about that. Right, so as I said, I have already prepped done some prep work for this because they do take quite a while to make. So I've already added some gilding flakes to the MDF here. I'm going to show you how I did this. I still have 3 to decorate, so I will show you how to do that. And I have already made some of the toppers as well, just to sort of save a little bit of time, because I said I don't really want you getting bored. I think the idea of this demo is more on how the mechanism works rather than too much attention on the decorating of it, although that is the whole part of it. But I will show you all the pieces that I've decorated you know, later on in the video. Right, so to start with, I'm going to grab a piece of scrap paper. You can see mine's already messy because I have already been working with this. Now what I'm going to do, actually I don't know why I've pulled that out because I'm actually not going to use it just yet. I'm going to pop that back. I'm just going to grab my gilding glue out. Ooh, let's take the lid off. And I'm going to grab my brush. I'm just going to dry it off a little bit because I have had this sat in some water. So it is quite wet and I don't really want it too wet for what I'm doing now. Right, so when I apply this, I'm going to apply it to the edges here and then just a little way in. I'm not going to cover the whole piece here because there's no need to. It is going to be covered up, and obviously the back of it you won't see anyway. So with the gilding glue, you do need to let it dry a little. It needs to dry tacky. You know, if you put it on and try to apply the flakes straight away, they will not stick. You do need to give it a little bit of time to dry. I believe the recommended time is about 20 minutes. I'm not sure. I think I've used it a little bit quicker than that. It just depends on the temperature of your room and everything, and also how thick you apply it. So as you saw there, I just went all around the edges and then just a little way in. I'm trying to apply it quite dry. Just because it will decrease our drying time. Yeah, I think so many people do get frustrated with these because they try and apply them straight after applying the glue, and you'll notice that they just won't take. I think Jo done it where she left the glue for the whole, well, in between shows and went back to it, so you can leave it quite a while and it does stay quite tacky. I'm going to put my brush in some water there. Right, while that's drying, what I'm going to do is grab my little squares. Now, I've already, as I said, pre-cut these. I've also, so my plan is to have my main topper piece, then to mount it on some black card, and then onto the MDF squares. Now I needn't really have come in so much with the gilding flakes, but you know, it doesn't matter. I wanted to make sure it was nicely covered. So yeah, that's sort of the plan. So it just gives that lovely gold effect around the edge. Now I suppose really you could even paint these. I have done that before now. The MDF blocks, you could just paint them black, or well, any coordinating colour really. But for this, I think it's really nice having the gold rim and the top piece. So yeah, I cut the load. I cut 12. I forgot to say, you do need 12 of these blocks. You'd have 6, you know, 6 on each side. So you need to cut out as well 12 black pieces and then 12 white pieces. Now I've coloured some of these. I've used in what is it, bundled sage, and where's my brown gone? Already losing things before I've even started really, haven't I? So gathered twigs. So they are the main colours that I've used. Sorry, I was just checking that I'm still recording. I'm really paranoid because the last demo that I recorded, it stopped recording halfway through. So I'm going to keep checking throughout just to make sure it is still going. So yeah, for these ones, I'm trying to do it so that there's like 6 on one side in one colour and 6 on the opposite side in a different colour. So these ones I've made using bundled sage and then gathered twigs around the edge. And then I've also done some with speckled egg and gathered twigs around the edge. So these are the speckled egg ones. I've only decorated 3 of these so far, so I need to do another 3. So I'm just going to grab my blending brush. Let's put them black pieces out of the way. And I'm just going to go in and sort of do the centre of each of these little tiles. While I'm working on these, the MDF pieces look like they're drying lovely. So by the time we've finished decorating these, hopefully they'll be dry enough to work with. Alright, so that's the centres done in the speckled egg. And I'm now going to go in with the gathered twigs. And I'm just going to distress the edges of this. I'm not going to go right into the centre. I'm going round all of the edges on all the pieces. It does take a little bit of time because they're quite small and fiddly. If you are doing sort of similar stamping but different colours, just make sure you keep your piles of colour separate to, you know, sort of the green and the speckled egg in different piles so you don't mix them up. Mind you, I suppose really it doesn't really matter. You could have them so that they're alternative. Once the Jacob's ladder gets going and it's all decorated, it does actually look quite nice. You know, alternative. So it doesn't really matter, I guess. Oh, you have to excuse me, I've got a bit of a tickle today. Right, so now I'm just going to start stamping really with these. I'm going to do one with the little postmark. I'm trying to think, I have done one with words on. So I'm going to do one at least with this little postmark stamp. I'm just grabbing my clear blocks. Let's see what way round I want it. Yeah, about there. And I'm going to stamp this in the Versafine Claire. Trying to see, I think I did it in the left corner, so I might do it in the right corner for this one, just so it's a bit different to what I done last on the other one. I do love this little postmark stamp. It's one of sort of my most used. Well, actually, I've got to be honest, I love this whole set. I think I've used this whole set quite a lot. But I think it's quite nice, you know, showing different ways that you can use it. Now for these grasses, I'm probably going to stamp them a couple of times. Move them out of the way. So, because you'll see that they don't quite fit on this, it's quite a small tile. So I'm just going to stamp them out again, really. I hope I'm in shot there. It's always hard to tell during doing a video whether you can actually see or not. I might stamp that on there actually. go in with this one. I don't think I've used this one yet. Let's pop that out of the way for the moment. You could also, if you wanted to, stamp a bit of script in the background. I'm not doing that for this. Let's see, go that way I think. Just because I've got a bit of a mark on the one side of that, so I'm going to pop that at the bottom. Hopefully I can cover it up a bit. I don't know if the camera picked that up or not. Right, so that one. And now my final one. I'm going to use this one here. I'm going to stamp this one again a few times as well, just because obviously it's only one single strand. I'm going to do them in different directions and different heights and things. Now there's another one that's very similar to the one that I've just used but slightly smaller. So what I'm going to do, I've already got that one mounted. I'm going to use the VersaFine Claire, and this is the sand dune one. Love this the sand dune. It's a really lovely light colour that you can just sort of use to stamp in backgrounds. And I'm going to do this on all the backgrounds. So just to fill in any sort of large gaps. So it looks like, you know, grasses in the distance. It doesn't matter if you stamp over your postmark either. And the final one. I think that'll actually do. So that's now all of them decorated. Let's pop all them stamps over to the side for the moment. Now I'm just going to clean this ink up, just otherwise I'll end up making a mess. And I'm going to pop these to the side, and I'm going to pop them with in my blue pile. Right, now I'm going to come back to work with the Gilding flakes. So let's pop these on here. So I'm using gold today. You could use, they also do a copper and a silver in this collection. And of course, you can always mix them. Now you can see, look, there's just tons in here. It literally lasts forever. I've got it sticking to me. Said it makes a real mess. Right, and any left over, make sure you do pop back, even the smallest little pieces, because you can use them. So I'm just going all around the edge, just sort of pushing it all in if it's not sticking to me. This is that moment where you also don't breathe, because it just literally flies everywhere, this stuff. So as I said, I'm just picking up all those bits and pushing it into the glue. If you find that there's areas that it doesn't stick to, that will usually mean that your glue is still quite wet. And you might need to sort of give it time to dry just a little bit more before trying to apply it. So again, I'm going to go all round. So make sure it's applied to the whole edge. So just pushing it in here. I'm not particularly rubbing it off at this point. I'm just rubbing it into the glue to make sure it's nicely stuck down. I will rub it all off in a minute, and hopefully I won't have it all stuck to me. These flakes do look really lovely if you do mix them. Obviously just make sure you've got a separate container to sort of store them in. So I think that's just about covered. So I'm going to grab a sponge now. I've had this sponge in my collection for some time. I actually only found it last night. I was using brushes before, sort of just a soft brush, but you can use just a you know, any sponge that you can sort of get your hands on, really. So I'm just taking off any excess, flicking it off, and we'll pop them to the side. I've obviously got glue on my fingers because it keeps sticking to me. These actually work really well on the gel plate. If you haven't already tried that, they look so effective. You can do some gorgeous backgrounds and get some really lovely sort of cracking effects. It looks so pretty. I will perhaps try and do a demo on that at some point. It won't be for a little while though, because I have got plans on what I'm going to be doing. Right, I'm just going to pop this back into my pot. I'm going to do it off camera just because I don't want it all sticking to my mat. Right, I'm just trying to get some of these flakes, little flakes. It doesn't want to go back in the pot. It's flying everywhere. Right, there we go. As I said, it is really messy stuff, but they're so pretty. And I think as well they do add, I think I said this during my last live, they do add a little bit of a touch of elegance to your project. Now, what I'm going to do is stick the black panels onto all my MDF pieces. I'm not going to stick the images on yet, purely because I'm really bad at sticking them upside. You'll see what I mean when I come to putting the strings and everything on. It's quite tricky making sure that you've got everything facing the right way. So I'm going to share with you how I do it. I find it just easier. I mean, somebody else might be watching this video and thinking, oh my goodness, what are you doing? You know, you have to place it this way, and that's fine. But this is how I like to do it. I think we all have our own little ways of figuring stuff out, don't we? And I said this is what I find easiest. So I'm going to just stick all these down. I should have probably done some of this before the demo, because you didn't really need to see me sticking all these down, but never mind. Just checking that I am still recording, which I am. That's good. Said I'm really paranoid now. I don't know why it stopped, but still. Alright, just make sure they're stuck down really well as well, because you don't want them sort of catching on any of your ribbons during the flipping, you know, when it flips down. And I think a Jacob's ladder is actually quite an old toy, isn't it? Children's toy. But I think it's great that, you know, we can decorate them and make little projects. What you could even do, I'll tell you what would look lovely with these, is doing some photos on them. You know, if you've got photos of like family photos and things, it'd be a lovely little photo album. And you could even make a little mini gift box as well to go with them. I'm not going to do a gift box at the moment. Perhaps at some point. I think that one's just a bit bigger than some of the others, but never mind. There we go. So I'm using here, I should have said that that's Crafty glue. I have popped it in one of the smaller bottles. Now I prefer applying glue in these bottles. I just find it, you know, you don't end up with sort of large gloopy bits. I think it comes out, when it's not blocked anyway, it comes out lovely and you get a nice even amount of glue. It doesn't sort of seep out from behind the edges too much. Right, we're nearly there. Just got a few more to do. Surprising how long it does actually take, doesn't it? Just to stick some black card down. There are quite a few though. I think I've cut more black pieces up than I needed to, but it doesn't matter. I'm going to pop them away for another project. I'm sure I can probably pop some sentiments or something on them for another project. Right, and the last one. Just stick that down so it's straight. Right, there we go. Right, what I'm going to do is just plug my glue gun in, just so that that can be warming up while we're faffing about. I do recommend using the glue gun for this next step, just because it's instant, you know, and it sticks really well. Pop that over to the side. You'll have to excuse the mess of my glue gun, it's quite messy. It's very well loved, as you can see. Right, now we need to cut our strings. Now again, I don't know the exact measurement. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And there's probably going to be people that are screaming at the phone right now going, you need this measurement. I'm just going to take a wild guess. I am going to cut more than I need to, just to make sure that I have got enough for this project, because the last thing you want is string too short. Now I'm using satin ribbon here, which is, so I'll put it over my hand so you can see it. This is just 3mm thickness black satin ribbon. Obviously you can use any thin ribbon. The thinner your ribbon, the better, really, because you are going to have ribbon going over your images. So obviously the thinner it is, and there's going to be 3 strands of them, the thinner it is, the better, really, because you're going to you'll end up, you'll be able to see more of the image. And also you want to make sure that it hasn't got a wire running through it. You need the ribbon to be nice and flexible, otherwise this will not work. So I'm going to do it probably double and then an extra piece. So actually, do you know what? I'm just going to do 3 lengths of this, just because I want to make sure that I've got plenty of it. Whatever's left over, I'm going to just pop to the side and I will use on another project. But like I said, I would rather have too much of it than not enough. So I'm just going to grab my scissors and start chopping. So whatever I've got left over, I'm going to pop to the side, and I don't know, I could make little bows on another project or something like that. Right. Now this is why I've said don't put your images on, because it's really hard to determine what way up to put them. Because it does matter. You will end up with like, you know, oh goodness, I can't think. You will end up with them the wrong way. Now, for these, the way you lay your strings is actually really, really important. So you need to have 2 strings laying the same direction. So I'm actually going to put a dollop of glue, just hopefully that's warmed up enough. So I'm going to start by doing a small dollop of glue there, and I'm going to push that down a little bit. So, I mean, some people do measure all these out. That's actually a little bit too far in for me, so I'm going to pull that off and I'm going to restick that. It was just a bit too far in and it was a bit lopsided. There we go. That's a bit better. Thing is, with glue gun, you end up with the bits of string, don't you, everywhere. I hate that. I wish there was a way of stopping it, but never mind. So you can see here I've got 2 pieces of string facing one way, and then on the edges. So when you stick them down, try to make sure that they're about the same, you know, you've got the same width either side. Some people do like to draw lines to measure them all. I don't particularly. I'm not somebody that likes measuring. I'm just going to eyeball this and hope that it works out okay. Right, now this 3rd piece of string, ribbon, you need to stick in the opposite direction. So you'll see the middle one has to be in the opposite direction to these 2 strings here. I keep calling it string. It isn't string. You know what I mean, ribbon. So yeah, if you do them all facing the same way, it will not work. So this is a really, really crucial step. It has to be facing the opposite direction. So just going to stick that down. And when we do stick our layer on, it will sort of stick them down properly. You could even sort of run, if you really wanted to, just to keep them, you know, keep them from moving too much. You could run a bit of glue. I might actually do that. Whether I do that all the way through, I'm not sure. So again, this is the That's Crafty glue. I might perhaps do that. I think I did this actually on my last one, just to sort of stick them down a bit. Yeah, I think I did. So you can see there, I've got them all stuck down. They will probably need a bit of time, but I'm going to stick the next layer on. So I'm going to grab my glue gun, all tangled in them ribbons, and I'm going to have to work quite quickly here, so I'm going to cover all the back piece, because I want them pieces of ribbon glued nicely. So just make sure you've got it nice and lined up. Obviously, if it doesn't line up, you will sort of mess the project up. So that's your first piece, really. Now what you need to do, now I always forget this, and I'm hoping that I do this right here. This is why I wanted to do a recording in case I do it wrong. So you always have to, whatever layer you're putting on, you always have to remember to flip your ribbons. If you don't, it will not work. So when you flip them, now these ones this time round, because if you've got the a piece where it's facing upwards, do not stick it down. Again, it will not work. So for this layer, I'm not sticking them down. I'm flipping the ribbons over, so that middle one's coming across to this side, and this one, whoops, over here. It is a bit fiddly, I'm not gonna lie. So yeah, there's your pieces. Now for the next layer, you want to face it face down, because this layer you are going to stick. So I'm just going to lay that there, making sure your ribbons are all the right way. And you want to pull them fairly tight, not too tight, but just, enough so that they're not really loose. And again, what I'm going to do is just hold that in place, and I'm going to run the lines of glue across. And flip those ribbons again. So whenever you have a piece that's, you haven't decorated the back, that is when you need to glue. So I'm going to flip these ribbons over. It is very, very fiddly. That one's come out from underneath. I'm just making sure that is not twisted. Again, if they're twisted, it's not going to work that great. So let's stick them down. Just moving them over so that they all sort of line up okay. So, and again, make sure they're pulled nice and tight. It is very fiddly. So the next layer you're going to glue down. So I'm going to grab my hot glue gun again and just go all over the back. I like to go all over the back so that it secures them ribbons nicely. And again, you want to make sure it is all lined up. So I'm just going to open this up and just make sure, yeah, I am doing it right. That's good. It's a good sign. Right, and again, so we're now, as we're face up, you need to flip your ribbons again, but don't glue them this time because you've got your black facing up. Ooh, sorry, I just knocked the my phone there in its thing. So this next piece you want to face down. So just make sure that those ribbons are not twisted. Sorry, I'm just making sure that that middle one wasn't. And just arrange them in roughly the right place. And again, I'm going to add my glue. So always down the middle. Now this is why I don't stick the pictures on first. just because it gets so complicated with what way you're going to do them. So I always like to stick everything down and then sort of slide the pictures through, which you'll see in just a moment. So again, I'm going to flick those ribbons. I'm going to do these ones first, and then I will do the middle one. So making sure they're pulled nice and tight. And then let's do that middle one and flip it over again. So always, as you're going through, your ribbons are always, you know, you're always going to have 2 ribbons going one way and that center ribbon going the opposite. Oh, I've got glue stuck to me everywhere. I do apologize. Right, so again, making sure they're pulled fairly tight. I'm going to grab another piece, and this piece again I'm going to glue the back of. So this is why I sort of use a glue gun really, because it is nice, quick, instant. You know, you want something that's going to hold instantly, not be messing about with, or it's not stuck. It's got to be done, you know, fairly quick. Right, before I carry on, I'm just going to grab another glue stick. I'm going to just dab a bit of glue on the end here and push it through the back just to stop it from keep falling out, because I'm worried I'm going to run out of that. Right, now because I've got the black facing up, oh yeah, don't forget, see, this is a stage that I often used to forget. I used to get to this point and then stick it, put that down and then do the next layer. You must flip those ribbons in between each layer. If you don't, it will not work. So it is so crucial that you just keep flipping those ribbons, you know, in between each layer that you put on. So that's them. So I'm now going to grab this piece, and because I've got the black showing, I'm going to lay it like that. So I'm just going to pull them ribbons tight again, and then grab my glue and again just flip those ribbons, just keep flipping them all the way through. So this is why I said it's better to cut too much ribbon than not enough, because if you end up cutting your ribbons too short, you know, you're going to end up having to pull the whole project apart, and you don't really want that because it is a pain pulling it apart. I have done it, and it honestly, it really is a pain. So again, my ribbons are facing opposite directions once I've done this piece. Your 2 outside ones are still facing the same, you know, that direction, and your middle one is facing the opposite. I think my neighbour's dogs are going mad in the garden, so I do apologise about the noise in the background. Right, again, just glue that next piece down. Glue's not coming out very well at the moment. So, and just make sure that as you're sticking them down, they are all in level with each other. Right, and again, flip those ribbons over. Let me just get rid of some of this glue string. Flip that middle one over, and again the end one. So again, they're all facing, you know, middle one facing the opposite way to those 2 end ones. Again, don't stick that down. Just grab your next layer, making sure that those ribbons are not twisted, and pull them tightly. So I'm just making sure that's nicely lined up with the rest of the blocks. And again, I'm just going to run glue. Oh, I'm going to pull some of that off because there was a bit too much there. So, and again, let's flip those ribbons back over. I'm just going to make sure that it's still recording. Yes, it is. Really don't want to lose you right in the middle of this piece. Just move that over a little bit, making sure that it's still pulled tight. I said it is very, very fiddly. Right, and again, glue your piece down. Don't know why, I'm just going to help it through a little bit. Must have like an air bubble or something there. Let's just do it on my mat for a minute. I don't know why. It's not a good time for the glue gun to start messing up, is it? And I don't think my battery one is charged, which is typical. Just lay that one there. Let me see if I can grab my battery operated one. I don't know why that one's not working. Let me try it. Oh, hold on. Oh, there we go. It's just having a bit of a tantrum. Right, we're working now, so I'm going to pull them bits off because I don't really want that, you know, messing up my thing. So again, lots of glue gun glue on the back. Ooh, and just stick that down so it's nicely lined up with the rest of the pieces. And just check in to make sure, yep, we're going in the right direction. I think this is the first time that I've done it and I haven't messed it up. So far we're going okay. We're doing okay. Right, so again, I'm flipping those ribbons over. I am going to have quite a lot left over, but as I said, I'm not too worried. I would rather have more left over than not enough, and I'll just use it on a different project. So I'm just pulling those strings a little bit, laying my final piece down. Now, because this is your final enclosed piece, you will need to cut the ribbons here. So what I'm going to do is just bring the glue along. Now I'm not going to take it right to the end, so obviously the ribbon's that side. I am going to cut them off a little, so I don't need to put glue all the way down. So let's pull them over. I'm going to get them all into position first before I start trimming them down. Oh, I'm so sticky. Right, so I should have pushed that way. So just make sure that they're again pulled nice and tight. You want to grab some sharp scissors. I think I'll grab these ones, and I'm going to cut it off just before the end of the block. There we go. And as this is the final piece, I'm just going to make sure that they're still pulled nice and tight. And again, I'm now going to stick my final layer down. Oh, and I think my glue gun's playing up again. But it doesn't matter. Luckily, I am on the very last point here. So I'm just going to apply some weight to that just to make sure it's nice and stuck. Right, ooh, let's see. Yes, we've done it. It is all right. Phew. Right, I'm going to get rid of, let's unplug this glue gun, and I'm going to get rid of that now so I can get rid of all that string. The only downside to using it is, again, it's just so messy. Mind you, look at the state of my mat. That's a complete mess. Never mind. Right, so you've now got, you want to just pick the top piece up. So you've now got sort of, you'll have two pieces here without anything on. When you're putting your images in, you might want to be mindful about where your strings are sitting. So some images might look better in, you know, in different ones, because you'll have a section with 2 strings and then a section with 1 string. So just bear in mind when you put them in. Now, in theory, they're going to be all facing one way on one side, but then when you flip it over, they're going to look upside down. That's what we're kind of going for here. So I think, as there's words in that, I think we're maybe, so no, do you know what, I think that one, I might do them alternative colours. I'm hoping we can get the other wordy one at the bottom here, just because there's no strings. So what have we got? Let's do a green one again here. So I'm just sliding them under at the moment, just to make sure that my layout is actually how it should be. That's a blue one, so a green one. Right, and then, so the other side, they're going to fall off. So I'm not too worried about that, because I get that, you know, what way it's going to go. So on this side, they need to be upside down now. So I'm just going to slide them through, just to sort of make sure that I've got them the right, you know, the right way. So I said I'm alternating colours here. You could do it sort of all the green ones on one side. What I should have done is put, because I've got 2 here with that same postmark bit, I might swap one over on the other side. So what one do we go for? I might swap this one over. Oh no, that's a blue one. Let's swap this one for that one. I'm just being fussy now. Right, so green, we'll go blue. And then I'm just sliding them under first, just to make sure that I've got them the right way. And then I'm just going to test it out, which you won't be able to see because I've got to hold it a certain way. Yeah, that's right. Okay, so I've got it right. So I'm now just going to stick them down. So we'll do it this way first. So we'll do Days in the Meadow. Again, this is where it gets a bit messy because you have to sort of glue it and sort of slide them back in. And the first and the last one isn't as bad because obviously there's no ribbons on those. So this one, I'm just going to put a bit of glue on the back. It's going to get a bit messy now because I'm going to try and slide that. And underneath that one. If you do get any glue, you could use a little glue eraser. I have got one somewhere, but I'm in rather a lot of mess here, so I'm probably not going to find it. I did have it floating about. Yeah, who knows? It could be anywhere. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to find that, not that quickly anyway. But if you've got a glue eraser, you could just, you know, remove that. So now just, as I said, going through, sticking them all down. It does all take quite a bit of time. Just lifting that. What might actually be helpful is like a little pokey tool or something just to help lift those ribbons up. Should have got that out, shouldn't I? Oh, look, I found it. That will actually help you lift those ribbons up if you need it. Especially when there's like 2 ribbons to deal with there. I'm just going to wipe a little bit of that off. Said, if you had like photos, how lovely would that be to have, you know, a little memory album like that on the Jacob's ladder. You know, pictures of children or grandchildren or, you know, whatever, just general family photos. If you have them printed and then, you know, cut down to the right size. So that one went in okay. So you can just use your pokey tool just to sort of lift that ribbon up that side a little bit better. I've got some excess glue there, so I'm just wiping that off. Right. Said some people will probably be shouting at their screens watching me do it this way, but I just find it easier because getting all the images facing the right way, you know, when you're trying to put them, worry about getting those strings the correct way, I just find this so much easier. So, and I'd rather not stress about what way the images are going to go, you know, while you're worrying about the strings. Because it is so easy to make mistakes on these. just use that pokey tool to lift that string up again. It is actually so much easier with the pokey tool. And the final one. Right, so that is it, all stuck down. I'll hold it up. I don't know if you can sort of see all those images. I mean, you don't have to stick to one theme. I've stuck to all one theme here. On the last one I made, I actually used all the different small elements. Right, so that is what it looks like. Now, I can't show you very easily what it's, you know, how it all works. So what I'm going to do is pause the video and I'll do a quick demo on how to actually use it. Right, so I've moved over to my photo shoot area here, and I'm now just going to show you how it all works. Now, it is all in the hand motions with this. You might find it does get a little bit stuck, but you can just give it a little bit of a wiggle. So you can see I'm holding it one way. It doesn't really matter what way, I can show you both ways. So I'm holding it with the strings facing, with the one with the no strings on. And I'm just going to flip it over. And it will flop down like that. Hopefully it's all in shot. I do apologise if it isn't. It's quite hard. I'm at a funny angle here. So yeah, I said you just literally flip it over and then flip it back, and it should then fall down. As I said, sometimes they do get a bit stuck here in the middle, but you can just give it a wiggle and they do kind of flop down. Sorry, I'm going out of camera shot, so I'm just flipping it over and then flipping it back. So all you need to worry about is what that top piece is doing, and you're just folding it over each time until they've all flopped down. So basically you'll just get one piece that sort of falls. I'm going to turn it the other way and just show you the other way too. It sort of works the same way. It doesn't really matter what way you hold it. So this time I've got the two strings at the top here, and I'm just going to flip it down. And again, it just sort of works its way down the ladder. I find them really fascinating. They're such unusual things. Oh, see, that one got a bit stuck there. I'm just going to straighten that up and do it again. So you can just keep doing it until it goes right down to the end. Right, so that's now the end of my demo. I'd like to thank you all for watching. I'm rather glad I didn't do this as a live, because it could have all gone horribly wrong. Luckily it did actually all work, and yeah, I'm quite relieved about that. But I will be back again at some point with another demo. So thank you all for joining me, and I hope to see you again soon. Thanks everyone. Bye.